Guess who's back? Back again. Abby's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? You know the rest. Hey guys, JamesMCD Reviews here, and I'm back with Abby, or the Abbae place, whichever you prefer. How you doing, Abby?
Pretty darn tootin'.
Obviously, if you've been subscribed for a while, you know that she's been on this show before.
Honestly, it opens your eyes a little bit.
Yeah, it opens your eyes to how terrible a kid's movie can be.
You can't be number one without the other numbers. That was
and if you're subscribed to her, you know that I am a reoccurring character on her show.
I was like yay big. It was yay big.
Yay big. I'm respectful. Take a college tour in Chicago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'll miss you.
Don't worry, I'll be back.
Will you? Though, are you gonna
Yes,
just leave me like my dad? Just kidding.
Jesus.
Leave me.
Jesus Christ. But now she's back, and we're doing something a little bit different. So when you're a kid, you see a lot of movies. Some movies you watch once and then years later you forget that you even saw them in the first place. Some movies you watch them a couple times and you're like, oh, that was pretty good. But then there are those movies, and everyone has that one movie where you've watched it so many times, you've burnt out the VHS or DVD, you've watched it so many times your parents can quote the whole movie line for line. Exactly. It's just the movie that you'd say defines your childhood. So that's what we've decided to take a look at today. We've each picked a movie that we used to watch all the time as a kid, and we're each going to do a video. This will be part one, or realistically part one will be whoever uploads theirs first, but I'm just going to say it was mine is part one because it was my idea, so
Okay,
we've each chosen a movie. We're both going to watch the movies, and we're going to talk about we're going to talk a little bit about the movie. We're going to talk about why we think we would have liked it as a kid, if it still holds up now, and some interesting things about the movie, and for the person who's watching it for the first time, what they thought of the movie, if they feel like they would have liked it as a kid, and all that good stuff. So we watched my movie first, and my movie is very interesting. It was released in 2000. It was based on a very popular TV show. It was critically panned by everybody. Nobody liked this movie. It went through some crazy production troubles that I'll talk about later. Everyone on the internet who has talked about this movie pretty much agrees that it's one of the worst movies ever made. I disagree.
I was about to say.
I disagree. Not saying that it's actually good, but it is definitely not the worst movie ever made, and it's one of my favorite guilty pleasure movies from my childhood. We watched Thomas and the Magic Railroad, the movie kind of adaptation of the popular TV show Thomas the Tank Engine. You did not see Thomas the Tank Engine before this.
Yo, I never heard of him.
Okay, so for the uninitiated, this is my boring, history of Thomas spiel. So if you want to, for those of you that are watching this that do know about Thomas, you can skip ahead to the video. But for the rest of you, this is my little boring history of Thomas, rant. So Thomas the Tank Engine was originally a series of books that a reverend from the UK wrote for his sick children. And then a TV producer from the UK came over and said, I want to make this into a TV show. And she did. She made it into a really popular children's TV show using model trains and little miniature sets, and it was really cool. It caught on really well in the UK. It was based off of the books, and eventually it gained so much popularity that it was moved to the US. It was brought over to the US and packaged with a show called Shining Time Station, which is where the station in the movie comes from. So basically it was a show of Shining Time Station. Basically, these kids and a conductor and some other characters would go through some shenanigans in this station, and they would learn some lessons. And interwoven in between the segments of them in the station, they would show a story of Thomas the Tank Engine. And eventually, the Thomas shorts got so popular that they just started airing them on their own. and it resulted in several seasons worth of episodes, a lot of merchandise, and of course a movie. Thomas the Tank Engine was the shit when I was little. Like,
all the cool kids are watching it.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that, but I wasn't really a cool kid back then, so.
Oh.
But look at me now.
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster, a real gangster ass.
It was honestly like one of my favorite shows. Like, I had all the freaking toys. I still have all my VHSs of like every episode from when I was younger.
Oh, wow.
And going back and watching the show years later, because I found the older episodes on YouTube. Going back and watching them, it's surprising me how well they hold up. Like, the great thing about the shows like these is there are things you can appreciate as a kid and things that you can appreciate as an older, you know, teenager and an adult.
Like all the depression.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
But like as a kid, you can appreciate, you know, the bright colors and the happy cheeriness of it and the messages and the songs and everything. But then when you're an adult, there are things that you notice a lot more. Like, you notice how like smart the writing is and how like really impressive the model work is on the trains. Those things are still really hold up. You can also appreciate like how dark some of the episodes can get. Seriously, there's an episode, I showed her this one before we watched the movie, but there's an episode where one of the characters, Henry, he doesn't want to come out of this tunnel because he's afraid he's going to get rained on and ruin his paint. And eventually they just stop trying to get him out and just build a wall in front of the tunnel and so he can't get out. And I'm like, that's pretty messed up. And also, keeping with the dark tone, almost every episode has some sort of horrific crash in it.
Ooh, shit. Help!
Eyes. The house.
Yeah.
Which is both really messed up and really funny. But yeah, it really surprised me how well the show holds up and how unbelievably poorly this movie holds up. Like, and I will say, because I was such a Thomas super fan, and I was really blind to how really not good this movie was. But that didn't stop me. I didn't care when I was a kid. That still didn't stop me from watching it every single day.
Exactly.
And to the point where my mom could actually quote every single line when we rewatched it several years later.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking back now, yeah, if you've seen if you've seen Nostalgia Critic's review of it, then you know pretty much everything that's wrong with it. Like, for one, it's Thomas's first full-length feature, and they still don't have the budget to make the mouths move. Which I mean,
know, that was like a little.
Which, I mean, like, it doesn't bother me too much, but it's, trust me, it's like, that is the least of the movie's problems. But still, like, you could have forked in some more money to make that.
I love this expression that they make every time.
The actors' performances are really inconsistent. The story makes absolutely no sense. It's a poor representation of what the show was. Because the show was more just about, like, teaching life lessons. It was just about, like, you know, teaching kids, you know, don't be an asshole, work together with the team and stuff like that. And it didn't like shoehorn in anything like magical or story or anything like that. No, it was just like really charming, simple stories. It's just like most of the stuff in it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, there's like 3 different battles going on.
Yeah, so, and it's just really ridiculous, but sometimes like that ridiculousness can be like unintentionally hilarious. Like, there are a lot of moments in this movie, rewatching it now, where I'm just like laughing hysterically at how seriously these actors are taking it, and how like some of the lines.
Like,
so,
my sparkle's gone.
Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle.
Fuck yeah! Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle! Ah!
Even though it isn't really that good, I still, you know, have like a soft spot in my heart for it, because it was a movie that I would watch. Like, this and Elmo Saves Christmas were the 2 movies that I would watch all the time as a kid. And you know, it just brings back a lot of good memories of watching the show and playing with the toys and everything, and you know, begging my mom to go do like a day out with Thomas, where they would have like a giant full-sized, you know, Thomas train, and they would like have you like ride around in like little coaches and like have you play with toys and have like show like live performances and stuff like that. So it brings back good memories, but the movie in itself is not that great. What did you think of it? See, because this was your first time watching it.
Okay, so to be honest, I love the animation, like how it has people in it, but at the same time, it's like, you know, still, it like kind of keeps true to like the original, you know,
the models.
Yeah, the model. But I have to say, like, I don't think most people get jump scares from this type of movie. Like, it's not intentional, but somehow I got scared from a freaking like weed.
Yeah, yeah. Thing. There's a scene where like he's about to go through like the gateway to the railroad. I can talk. Okay. The railroad, and there's like a talking tumbleweed that comes across, and that it just came out of nowhere.
It scared me so bad. I was like, it was pretty good. I thought some parts were hilarious. Like with there's some like kind of dirty jokes in it that you don't know when you're a kid, but when you rewatch it, you realize, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's what they meant.
You can, when you have a mind as dirty as ours, you can make anything into a dirty joke.
Yes. But I thought that the whole sparkle thing was pretty cool. Also, the uncle. If you guys have seen it, I'm just guessing. But the
I'm assuming if you're watching this, then you've at least like either heard of it or seen it.
Yeah, but like the whole uncle thingy with his cousin. Actually, I'm sorry, his cousin. I felt like he was just a drunk cousin like, on the beach, and I thought that was pretty hilarious.
Yeah. What was thinking about it? What was really his purpose aside from just like being an extra character?
He was supposed to help supply this guy with some more sparkle. But then he ended up saying like, actually, I don't have that much left.
Yeah, he was just a bumbling idiot through most of it.
He was supposed to help find like the clues.
Yeah,
but like he really didn't help. He made it worse.
Like you didn't see this because the DVD skipped around. When they're at the windmill. When he's in the middle of talking, he like climbs up on the windmill and starts riding around on the fans, and then the wind like starts going faster, and that's how he ends up on. Yeah, so.
Well, I thought it was a pretty good movie. It's kind of surprising because it feels like it's older than Matilda when that came out, you know, but it's not.
And it's the same. It's the same actress, Mara Wilson.
Right here.
She's just a little bit older.
Yeah, so I thought this was older, but obviously it's not, so I'm very confused.
Yeah.
But it's just that like the production quality seemed really old styled.
Yeah, because they were still because well into like up until like I think like 2006 or 7 they were still using models. It wasn't until like much later when they eventually started making it with just
it was
with
like
CGI.
The people. It was like the people that were. Well, I guess that makes sense. Because the background, so okay.
Do you think you would have liked this as a kid? Like you would have liked?
Yeah, I would have liked it if I watched it as a kid.
Do you think you would have liked watching the show?
Probably, yeah. I would have probably gotten scared though. Some of the lessons that they teach.
Yeah, there are some really like I said before, there are some really dark things in the show. So some really interesting things about the movie because there's a lot more to this movie than I was expecting. Because in preparation for this, I did a lot of research on this movie and learned a lot from watching other people's reviews of it. Apparently, there was a completely different cut of this movie that we didn't see. Like apparently all of the voice actors were different, but they were all supposed to be British or had different voice actors. But the test audiences didn't like the way that they sounded, so that they changed it. There was supposed to be a whole nother human villain character. In fact, in the chase scene at the end, there's a whole alternate chase scene where this guy is there on top of Diesel the whole time, and he was supposed to be like a pivotal part to the story. But he was cut because test audiences thought he was too scary, and apparently apparently like people like there's been a director's cut that's been like floating around, and even the script has appeared like on various like fan sites, but they haven't released it yet because I guess like different companies or some legal bullshit. So but I'm really curious to see like what this director's cut would have looked like if it would have made the movie better or made the movie worse or whatever. It's kind of interesting. There's apparently a lot more to this movie than I had initially thought. But yeah, so any other thoughts about it?
I really wanted Matilda, that's what I'm just gonna call her. I really wanted her to hit it off with that one cute boy, but it didn't happen.
They already had enough subplots going in this movie anyway.
I really not.
Yeah.
At least, like, I don't know. I felt like I really wanted Thomas to actual like train. Sorry. I really wanted him to have like a bigger role, but that's about it.
Yeah, well,
and also he disappeared into like some hill, and like what?
He went through Doctor Strange's magical portal. He was falling for 30 minutes like Loki.
I have been falling for 30 minutes!
But you know, like that's the thing about like movie adaptations of TV shows, is like I was saying, is they have like so little to do with like the actual title character, like Smurfs, Chipmunks, frickin' Garfield, all that stuff. They all have like just
a different
they just have
that happens.
Yeah, they just have like the characters just are there, and then the real story is from the human characters.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I mean, despite the movie's flaws, I still get some enjoyment out of it. I still, you know, I still enjoy watching it from time to time. It is, watching it years later, it is really hilarious. And it's especially funnier if you are a fan of the show and you know like some of the different stuff about it. But yeah, I don't think it's a really good representation of the show, and I don't think I don't think it's really that good of a product. Like, there are a lot of things wrong with it, like I said, but like I said, it still holds a special place in my heart. It is a guilty pleasure. I still enjoy watching it, and it's like, you know, reliving parts of my childhood. It's which I really enjoy doing, and I'm glad I got to share that with you.
Yeah, I didn't have a childhood. I'm just kidding.
Why are you always so depressed?
I don't know.
Do you need a hug or something?
Yeah.
Like, here, there.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, on that bombshell.
I don't know what that meant.
Yeah, so, any other final thoughts about the movie before we give a rating?
Just always remember, little engines
can do big things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. What would you give it out of 5?
I would give it a 4.
I'd give it a 3.
Oh, you just had to be different.
Ironically, I would give it a 5. Ironically, I would say this is the best movie ever made, but if I was being serious, I would have to give it a 3. Like, it's not the worst movie ever made, but it's still not great. So yeah, that's it for part 1. If you want to see part 2 of this series or video, you can go over to Abby's channel, the Abbae Place. I'll leave a link to that in the description, where we will be watching. Well, actually, I'm gonna save that for when she records her video. Save it for a surprise. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe to Abby, follow her on all of her social medias.
Yep.
Subscribe to my animation channel, follow all my social medias. Everything will be down in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you again, Abby, for being here.
Thank you. It was very fun, and I love being here.
Yes, and we will continue this series on her channel. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.
Bye.
Motherfuckers, come on, 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 motherfuckers, come on. Oh, I got